Hi there, today is a very important day in my life. We are going to do quantitative EEG, but first I have to prepare the hair. So let's go and talk to Gregory, my favorite barber, and have things done. I think we are all ready to go. My head is ready for a big adventure.
EEG stands for electroencephalogram, which is an assessment that detects electrical activity in your brain. Quantitative EEG is an extension of this that provides us with a visual reference for brain function in different areas of the brain.
Andrew, it was a torture. What have you done to me? Let's describe it in a few words.
It's a quite simple process, putting on an EEG cap, right? That was the tight fitting cap that you put on.
Right.
And then we record EEG from 19 channels.
Right.
We use that data through an eyes open task, an eyes closed task, and then a reaction test. All of these tasks add up to looking at the brain from a functional perspective and collecting objective data.
Yeah, so whenever all this stuff is in my head, how deep does it go?
It's right on the surface of your scalp, so it's a
Right.
non-invasive test.
Okay, so you put a cap on my head, you gelled me up. These electrodes, they are basically, plastic thing is empty.
Plastic sensor, and the electrogel, what it's
Right.
called, is a conductive.
Right.
And that conductive gel allows the EEG signal to be measured from the scalp, from
Right.
the surface of our brain.
So then the electrodes are put together in a wire that is connected
Through
to
an
this computer?
amplifier,
Yeah.
and the amplifier projects the data into the laptop. It gets sent to a laboratory
Right.
where it's looked at, it's analyzed,
Right.
and processed into reports. The beauty of having the assessment is that baseline of data provides a roadmap to your brain.
Right.
So that roadmap will guide any sort of training, whether it's neurobiofeedback or any other method of intervention that you want to do. That will be customized for each person. A lot of times, when we think of something like ADD,
Right.
when we analyze or assess the symptoms, they all, it seems, the same. Trouble
Right.
focusing. But when you look at it from the brain's perspective, there are several different profiles.
Of brain activity.
Of brain activity that
Right.
can look like ADD. And having that roadmap to your specific subtype of ADD
Right.
will guide the treatment more specifically.
We are going to take a look at an actual quantitative EEG report. You can see these are projections of the recording at different levels in different places in the head. This is the nose. And when it's mostly green, it means that in this area of this activity, in this case 2 Hertz, everything is okay in the brain that we are analyzing. Blue means not enough, so you see in the area of 7 or 9, but when we go down to fast beta activity, we can see that starting from this point on, we have red, which is an excess in the central part of the brain and also in parietal part of the brain. This actually is a very typical picture for anxiety disorders. So Andrew, let's talk about what quantitative EEG is good for.
Okay.
First of all, it gives us a very nice picture to look at.
Correct. It gives us a picture of brain function via EEG.
Right, as opposed to brain structure, which we can get from either regular MRI.
Correct.
Some people think about CAT scan, but CAT scan actually shows only major problems, God forbid.
Correct.
And then another popular thing is SPECT, S-P-E-C-T, but it shows how blood flows to different parts of the brain.
Yes.
So for sure we can see epilepsy like with any EEG.
Sure.
We can also see whether or not a person is anxious.
Correct.
We can see cognitive problems.
Yes, we can look at head injury,
Right.
attention deficits.
As you said, there are 3 different types that we can distinguish.
There are multiple subtypes, yes.
Right.
There's one that's most common where there's a lot of slow activity in the frontal lobe.
Right.
That's where we have our executive functions, so
Right.
attention, and that's certainly most common. We can also look at memory loss and cognitive decline.
Yes.
Amongst any other brain-based issues.
And of course PTSD and depression also
Absolutely.
is kind of famous. Any kind of issue that has to do with brain function can
Very
be
important.
clearly seen on quantitative
Sure,
EEG.
especially for older adults, differentiating between perhaps early memory loss and depression
Right.
is a big thing to look at as well. That way you can treat it properly.
Exactly. But what we are going to use it for today is going to be to guide us when you are going to perform neurobiofeedback.
Yes, correct.
So let's go do it.
All right.
QEEG can be used for treatments like neurofeedback. Neurofeedback is a treatment that helps retrain the brain to produce healthy electrical activity. Neurofeedback is used to treat ADHD, anxiety, PTSD, depression, autism, traumatic brain injury, and stress disorders.
So what we're doing is we're going to train a single region on her brain or in her brain. And we're going to do that by connecting these sensors. All right, there's one that goes on the head. All right, so we're going to connect these sensors to Jane. And I'm going to start by putting one on her head. This is going to measure the activity in this region of her brain in real time. Okay, so we're going to connect this first one to her ear. So what we see on the screen here is just an animation that will move when Jane's brain behaves in a more normal pattern or a proper pattern. The animation will stop when her brain is outside of that normal pattern. These bars on the left illustrate the different frequencies that we're training. Okay, so we are training some of her faster brain waves to slow down. All right, and we're training her slower brain waves like alpha to increase. So when Jane is able to decrease her theta or her slow wave activity, all right, we will see the animation move. Okay, bowling pins with the bowling ball, all based on her brain activity.
So cool.
Once Jane's brain randomly produces activity that she's been trained for, the computer starts playing the cartoon. And if this activity stops, the computer will stop playing the cartoon. Jane has been living in this world for a number of years, so her brain knows what to do. It's actually very interesting.
Now we're going to try a different form of neurofeedback here with Jane, one that's real-time Z-score training. Z-scores come from the bell curve, and we're going to see how deviant your brain activity is. Okay, so we're going to put the cap on. Jane, if you can just hold that on your forehead. Thank you. All right, and we're just going to clip this. All right, and now I'm going to gel a couple of the sensors where we're going to record your brain activity. Okay. We're going to just put an ear clip on each of your earlobes. It's part of the setup. Okay, one. Okay. Good. Okay, Jane, we're ready to start the training. Okay. I want you to focus on the screen and just let the green light turn on. Okay, the green light is feedback to your brain that it is behaving in a more normal pattern. So focus on the screen here and keep the green light on as best as you can. So here is your feedback screen, all right? We're looking at that green dot, all right? When it's green, that indicates good behavior from the brain, that it's acting in a more normal pattern, a healthy pattern. You can see as it turns off, that's telling the brain that it's now outside of the healthy patterns. We see the time remaining in this training run here, and we can see your score. All right, just points that you're collecting, the more successful you are.